Hello book lovers, and welcome back or welcome to Natcat's Bookish Cafe. Today I am here to do my September TBR. Alright guys, it is magical Orilium time. It is a time to put my TBR together for this well-beloved readathon. It is the autumn equinox, and I will of course have a Book Roasts channel as well as the announcement video for this round linked down below. I have been taking part in this readathon, I like to say casually, for either 2 or 3 years now, and I always have a great time using her prompts. This is a readathon that is based around a magical school where we are going to train for certain magical careers. There are a lot of aspects to this readathon. Like I said, I take part in it rather casually in that I'm mostly here just for the prompts. You can create a character, you can join a guild, you can do side quests. Those are all things that I personally don't really do, but there are plenty of other YouTubers who do them and have a great time. So if you haven't heard of this readathon yet or anything, you should definitely go and check it out. You can join at any time, even though this has been going on for a few years. You can of course jump in at any point. That being said, here in the autumn equinox, we need to go ahead and get a certain level in the classes that we need to take for our careers. Because I'm here for the prompts, I actually select 2 careers so that I get extra prompts, and my goal is always to become a necromancer and a beastmaster. As far as reaching certain levels, there are 3 levels. So you could need to read up to 3 books per class. And depending on what your career is, her worksheets will go ahead and let you know what level you need to reach. So there's O, Q, and D. I always forget what O stands for, but that is the lowest level. Q is the middle level, and that stands for qualified, and D is the highest level, and that stands for distinguished. So when going through this, will let you know what class it's for and how many levels I need to reach and what the prompt per level is and which book I'm reading for that. One thing I have to keep in mind when making this list is if I were, say, doing a class called Animal Studies and I needed a Q in it, I need to read and finish the book for the O prompt before I can move on and read the book for the Q prompt. So I need to make sure that I have access to books when I need them, and not that I'm waiting on hold at the library or anything like that. That being said, I believe I have 15 prompts that I need to complete. Usually I give myself a couple months because I chose 2 careers, but I'm going to try really hard to complete all the books in the month of September. We will see how we do, because I don't think that I have been reading 15 books per month this year. My numbers have been a little bit lower, but I did try to be strategic and choose some shorter books as well as some audiobooks. Now, usually I play my TBR game, Lezerin Egedishnish, which is based off of the game Parcheesi. However, I decided this month not to play it. I fully was intending to until I saw that I had 15 prompts that I had to fulfill for the magical Orilium, and I was like, okay, we're trying to make life and reading less stressful, so we're gonna go ahead and just focus on these prompts. But don't worry, she will be back next month. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this TBR because we have quite a few books to get through. All right, so the first class that I need to take is Inscription, and I only need an O in this class, meaning I only need to read 1 book for it, and the prompt is to read a book that has a title that includes all the letters of your first name. My name being Natalie, I decided to go ahead and select A Single Bright Candle's Flame by Cole McCade. This is the 9th episode in the Criminal Intentions series. This book was gifted to me by Lon, a subscriber. Super glad that I got it on this TBR. I knew I had to read it this month because I didn't get to read any Cole McCade books last month, and I have definitely been missing this series. But My Name, Natalie, is here in this very long title. So this series follows Malcolm and Sanjay, and they are both homicide detectives for the Baltimore Police Department. Each episode in this series follows them as they try to solve a different mystery or murder. There are also some overarching plots that are occurring here, as well as a development of a romantic relationship between our two characters. This is a male-male romance. I love Cole McCade. I love his writing. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know this, and I am very excited to continue with this series. Plus, all the books in the series are super short, so it makes it great for a month where I need to read at least 15 books. The next class that I need to go ahead and pass is going to be restoration, and I need to get a Q in this class, meaning I need to read 2 books. The prompt for the O level is to have a night sky on the cover, and I'm very excited to say that I will be reading A Whistle at Night, which is edited by Shane Hawk and Theodore Van Elst Jr. This is a collection of short horror stories, all by Indigenous authors. Obviously, this scene is taking place at night, and we also have some stars and a moon there on the cover. This is a book that is on my fall TBR, so I'm always happy to get those books on my actual monthly TBRs because I haven't been doing a very good job of that. But this is a collection of stories that I've heard really great things about so far. I am usually not a huge short story or anthology girly, but when it comes to the horror genre, it does work relatively well for me usually. So I am optimistic to get into this. All I know is that each of these stories is kind of inspired by the myth that if you whistle at night, something bad will happen or something bad will come. So some people say that these stories are genuinely scary, so I'm a little nervous, but hopefully I will find a few 5-star short stories in here and some new Indigenous authors to look into. The Q prompt for this class is to read a book that has a poison plant on the cover. Now, I stretched this prompt a little because I chose a book that has a poison apple on the cover, which isn't, I don't know if you would really consider it a plant. It's like the product of a plant. It's a fruit, and I couldn't really find any other plants. I mean, I found plenty of plants, but were they poisonous? I'm not a plant expert, so I was like, I don't know if these are poisonous. We're gonna go with the poison apple, and I decided to choose Assistant to the Villain, and this is by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, and this is a book that I have seen kind of going around. For the most part, people seem to be enjoying it. There are definitely some people who are like, not really. I'm going to be checking out the audiobook from my Libby app, and this seems to be a romance where we are following a woman who takes a job as the assistant to her town's villain, and I don't know, I guess they start to develop feelings for each other. Other than that, I don't know anything about it. I do think there was a second book, so I think this might be the start of a series, or at the very least a start of a companion series. Fingers crossed that I enjoy it. It sounds like something that could be a lot of fun, depending on if the author kind of hits on those humor points that I really like. But that is the book that I'll be choosing because there are some apples on this book, and I assumed since we're dealing with villains that they just have to be poisonous. The next class I need to take is Conjuration, and I once again need a Q in this class, meaning that I need to fulfill 2 prompts for it. The O prompt is to have a bat on the cover, and if you thought the last prompt I stretched, this one I think I kind of flipped the meaning of the prompt. Now it says a bat on the cover, and I'm 99% sure that when Book Rose created this prompt, she meant like the animal, a bat. And I kind of chose it as a baseball bat because I didn't have any books with bats on them. So I was like, a bat is a bat. So I went on Libby and I typed in the word bat, and I chose a short audiobook. This wasn't even originally on my TBR, but I saw it and I was like, I could like this. And that is A Bat Boy by Christina Lee. And this is a male-male romance. It is set at a university, and essentially we are following a young man who received a baseball scholarship to this university, and he starts crushing on the Bat Boy. What is a Bat Boy? I don't know. It would be kind of weird if there was a position where someone just handed people bats. I've seen like videos of dogs doing that, which is really cute, but like a person doing it, I'm assuming there's more to his job. But what complicates things further is that this Bat Boy is the son of the coach, and our character does not want to get mixed up in all of that, but at the same time, he just can't deny his feelings. So this is a really short audiobook featuring a male-male romance, which is something that I really enjoy. So I decided to go ahead and throw it on here because it includes a bat. There's a bat on here. It's the wrong kind of bat, but we're doing what we can. We got 15 prompts to work with here, guys. For the Q prompt, we needed to read a book that had won an award, and I was very excited to get another one of my fall TBR books on here. It's also a book I recently purchased and was hoping to get to soon because I'm just so excited for it. And that is At Night, All Blood is Black by David Diop. And right there, this award says the 2021 International Booker Prize winner. So right there on the front, it lets you know that it won an award. This book is under 150 pages, which makes it perfect for this month. It's a teensy tiny book, but it seems like it's got a lot going on in it. We are following a black serial killer who is part of the French army in World War I. That is essentially all that I know about this book. It seems that one of his comrades, potentially one that he was close with, dies, and our guy just kind of goes off the rails a little bit. So I am really interested to see where the story goes. I have never read a book that was portraying a black serial killer, so I'm really intrigued to see what the author does with the story in such a short amount of time. The next class was Demonology, and I only need to get an O in this class, so I only need to fulfill 1 prompt, and that prompt is to get a suggestion from a non-reader. So I gave my dad 4 options because he is definitely not a reader. He does not know what any of these books were. They were all books that I could potentially get as audiobooks, and he decided to select Keep This to Yourself by Tom Ryan, which is a young adult queer thriller. In this book, we are following Mac, and he was raised in a town that experienced a serial killer many years ago, and his best friend Connor had been the final victim of this serial killer. One day, many years later, he receives a cryptic note from Connor, and that causes him to return to his old town. And it seems that the serial killer has returned, which is suspicious because everyone said that the serial killer was just some stranger passing through, which now does not seem to be the case. It's clearly someone who lives in this small town, and our character is trying to figure out who it is. He finds everyone suspicious, including a handsome stranger who seems to want to help him solve this case. Along the way, our character seems to be kind of coming to terms with the fact that he had stronger feelings for Connor than just friendship. So I'm really excited to check out this thriller. I've had really good luck with YA horror and thriller, especially the queer ones. So I am optimistic that I will enjoy this one. The next class that I need to take is lore. And for this one, I actually need to get a D, meaning I need to read 3 books for it. The first one for the O prompt is to read a vampire book. Surprisingly, I don't have a lot of vampire books on my TBR, but one that I was able to get a audiobook for is My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine, and this is a romance that I have heard mixed things about, but I'm gonna go into it kind of hoping for a cutesy, fun vibe, and hopefully this book will deliver on that. But essentially, I believe we're just following a young woman who is new to town, I'm assuming, and she needs to find a place to live that isn't too expensive, and she finds a roommate situation where this roommate seems to be more nocturnal. I'm assuming she thinks he has like a night job or something, and then she finds out he's a vampire, and I think he's a vampire that isn't really in touch with modern ways. I don't know if he's been like hibernating or something, but she kind of needs to teach him how to blend in to modern society, and they along the way form a relationship. So it sounds like something that could be really cute, but it also sounds like something that could be slightly on the cheesy side, but we will see how it goes. The next prompt is to read a translated book, and I have decided to read Tokyo Ghoul Volume 3. I have it on hold at the library. It just hasn't come in yet, or maybe it did. A hold came in last night. So it could be that book or one of the other books that I have on hold, but essentially this is a manga where we are following a young man who goes on a date with a beautiful girl that he has been eyeing for a while. He's super excited about it until she tries to eat him, and he's like what? Luckily for him, she gets crushed by like a bridge. Always love when that happens to your date who's trying to eat you. And he unfortunately is injured as well, and when they go to the hospital, the doctor decides the only way to save him is to transplant some of her organs into him. And seeing as she is a ghoul, which is a creature that needs to survive off of human flesh, he then takes on some of those qualities and becomes a ghoul, or at least half ghoul himself, and needs to learn how to live within the world of the ghouls. I really loved the first season of the anime that I watched a few years ago now. I wasn't so impressed with volumes 1 and 2, but they were really kind of introducing us to the characters and to the world, and I'm hoping that things pick up a little bit more from here. So I will be picking up that 3rd volume, and getting a manga in here with this long TBR is definitely a smart move on my part. The final prompt for the lore class is the D prompt, which is to do a retelling, and I'm actually carrying over a book from my August TBR because I am not finishing my August TBR. We have given up hope on that, even though the month isn't over yet, but that is going to be Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts, and this is a retelling of the Aladdin movie, but not really. Essentially, in this series, she is rewriting the romances, usually including the villains of the Disney stories. This one is between Jafar and Jasmine, and I believe this is in a modern setting. We either probably have like ruthless business people or mafias. I'm not really sure, but this is a super short book, just over 200 pages. It's mostly smut. lot, so it should be a relatively quick read. The next class is going to be Elementals, and for this one I only need to get to level O, so I just need to read one book. And this book was supposed to have something that represented like your favorite scent on the cover or in the title, and I feel like I'm stretching this a little bit because I'm kind of making it broad. I kind of struggle to find anything with lavender on it or eucalyptus, or like, I really like pumpkin baked goods, but I didn't find anything with that. So I decided to go with another graphic novel that I've been wanting to get to for a while, and that is going to be A Chef's Kiss. This is written by Jared Melendez, and I don't actually know much about this graphic novel, but there's a chef on the cover and he has some fresh food, and I figured since I love the smell of a home-cooked meal that I could go ahead and use this for it. I know that this is a queer story, and obviously we are following someone who either wants to be a chef or is a chef, but since it's just a standalone graphic novel as far as I know, I figure I don't really need to know anything else going into it, and this is another book that I have on hold from my library, so hopefully I can pick that up in the next few days. Second to last class, we have Animal Studies, and for this one I once again need to get a D, meaning that I need to read 3 books for it. The first of which is to have a phoenix on the cover or to have the word phoenix in it. I only had 2 books to choose from this, and I decided to go ahead and purchase myself Phoenix Unbound by Grace Drabin. I have read a book by her, the Radiance series, and absolutely loved it. So I am finally getting around to reading some more of her work. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, and this has given me the perfect opportunity to do so. I believe this is the first book in a series, and we are following a woman who has the ability to kind of like come back to life. It seems that they live in a kingdom that once a year requires each village or town to give a sacrifice. Like that person goes and they die, which is a very lame thing for a kingdom to do, but you know, kingdoms be kingdoming. And because she can come back to life, every year she disguises herself as someone else so that she can go be killed and then come back, and technically no one in her village needs to die. One day, unfortunately for her, it seems that a soldier kind of notices what she's doing and he kidnaps her because he has his own agenda and he really needs her help to do it. I believe that this is an enemies to lovers situation. I'm assuming because he kidnaps her, which is not a very nice thing for a guy to do. But I recently saw that Reagan at Prue's Project read this book and really loved it, and that kind of reminded me that I wanted to go ahead and pick up this series. So hopefully I enjoy it as much as I did Radiance, because that was a 5-star series for me. So a potential 5-star, hopefully. The cue prompt for this class is to read a standalone, and I decided to put Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi on here. This was on my summer TBR and I did not get to it, but it is one of the books that is on my 2024 bingo board. So I definitely need to get to it this year because I want to. I really want to read this book. Akwaeke Emezi's other book, The Death of Vivek Oji, was my favorite book last year, so I definitely want to check out this book. Some people say this is their debut novel, so I'm just gonna say that that's what it is. And this book seems to have some strange magical realism vibes to it. I always struggle to come up with a synopsis for this just because it's a little odd. So I'm just going to read the back of this story. Freshwater tells the story of Ada, an unusual child who is a source of deep concern for her southern Nigerian family. Young Ada is troubled, prone to violent fits. Born with one foot on the other side, she begins to develop separate cells within her as she grows into adulthood. And when she travels to America for college, a traumatic event on campus crystallizes the cells into something powerful and potentially dangerous, making Ada fade into the background of her own mind as these alters, now protective, now hedonistic, move into control. So that sounds really interesting. I know I love their writing. It is also a bit of a shorter book with nice big text in it. So very excited to be getting to this one this month. And the last prompt for this class is to choose a book that has had a cover change. I probably have a few on my shelf, but I never quite know like when a book has had a cover change, especially since there's so many special editions out there. You're like, is that a cover change or was there just a special edition? But this one, I know for sure there's been a cover change, and that is Sinner by Sierra Simone. These covers used to have like the people on the cover, and now they have these flowers. And this is the second book in the Priest series. I read the third book, Saint. I personally don't have any interest in the first book. That concept, for some reason, makes me a little uncomfortable. I guess I'm okay with nuns and monks having sexual relationships, but a priest is just like, do we have to go there? But in this book, we are following a young woman who is going to become a nun, and she wants to experience some things before she makes her vows to Jesus and all that jazz, which includes, I'm assuming, having sexual relationships, which I feel like if you're that interested in having it, maybe the nun life isn't for you, but I don't know. And it seems that she asks her brother's best friend to help her with this, and obviously it becomes a bit more between the two of them. I absolutely loved Saint. I really enjoyed the way that the author handled religion in a way that questioned it in a way, but also respected it. And I also enjoyed the mental health representation that was in it. And this one, I'm not quite sure what it will be focusing on, but we will see. I know I like her writing, so I'm very excited to go ahead and catch up on this series. And the final class, we have alchemy, and I need to go ahead and get a Q in this class, meaning I need to read 2 books. The first book is a book that will make me emotional, and for this I chose the Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. I'm sure that most people cry when they read this book. I am very nervous to read it. It is a 5-star prediction for me, and we seem to be following a man who is visiting different friends with his cat, and I believe we are seeing this all from the cat's point of view, and he seems to be trying to find someone who can care for his cat. I'm pretty sure we all know why he's looking for someone, and I just can't foresee myself not crying at this book, to be honest. So it was very easy to go ahead and put this as a book that'll make me emotional. It was originally gonna be the book that I read for the a translated book prompt, but then I was kind of struggling to find another short book that would make me emotional, so I decided to put Tokyo Ghoul in for the translated book and put this under the emotional prompts. So wish me luck with this. So the final prompt on here is to read a book that was originally self-published and then became traditionally published. Now I'm only 98% sure that that is the case for this book, so fingers crossed. If it's not, don't tell me. I need plausible deniability. And this is the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name incorrectly. This would be a reread for me. I read this book a few years ago and absolutely loved it, and have been meaning to reread it for a while. As far as I know, this was like a book that he was selling to like one bookstore. No one else was really interested in it, and then someone happened to bring it by a American publisher, and they were like, we want to sell your book, and now it's like one of the most well-known books in the world. In this book, we are following a young shepherd boy, I believe, who is seeking treasure at the pyramids, I believe. Yes. And along his journey, he finds lots of other treasures, including mentors, a new family, and love, and just adventure and good times. So this book, I just remember remember bringing me so much peace. So I'm really excited to read this story. This is also a translated work. So I have 3 translated books on my TBR this month, which as someone who doesn't read a lot of translated literature is very unusual. But that being said, it's a rather short book and also one that's really easy to just kind of flow through. So very excited for this. All right, guys, so those are all the books that I'm reading for the Orilium readathon. Wish me luck. Do you think I can read all those books in 1 month? I'm skeptical, but hopefully you guys believe in me a little bit more than I believe in myself. But that being said, we have one more book we need to add to this TBR, and that is the book from my challenge cup. Do I think I'm going to get to my challenge book this month? No, but we're going to pull it anyway. We only have 3 more books in here. We are coming to the end of this challenge. That being said, I am currently working on my August challenge book, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I'm really enjoying this book so far. I'm doing a spoiler-filled reading vlog for it, and I have kind of sectioned out 60 pages a day at least. I've definitely kind of been reading more than that, but that is just to guarantee that I will for sure finish it by the end of August. But that being said, let's go ahead and see where I should put this book right now. Let's just say right there. Let's see which book I will select next. I do know which books are still in here. And I don't know which one I want, especially considering that I'm probably not going to read it this month. Well, we'll see. So let's go ahead and just take this one. This one seems to want to kind of stick on my fingers a little bit. So let's see. Oh, that's Babel, isn't that? Yep. That's Babel. All right, guys, Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is the last book in the challenge cup that I actually physically own. So there's a part of me that's glad that I got this one, because seeing as I'm not sure if I'll get to it, this way I don't have to worry about like, should I get it from the library yet or should I not? It's on my shelf. It's waiting for me. It's ready whenever I am. This will be my first R.F. Kuang book. I have never read any of their other work. I am honestly not interested in the Poppy War series. I don't know. I've just never been interested in it, no matter how much people praise it. This one, though, I do have a bit of interest in, though I'm also scared because she's a chonker. So from what I know about this book, it's primarily historical, but it has like a sprinkling of magic. Now, while I've heard the synopsis of this book more than I've heard my own name, I'm still not 100% clear on certain things. We seem to be following a young man who was taken from China to join this school where he learns to translate works from Chinese to English. And this book is very much about colonizers, and he kind of starts to realize that the translations that they are doing seem to be harming their home countries. On top of that, there seems to be some sort of magical element around silver, and I'm not sure if you like carve certain words in it, it gives it certain magical properties or what is going on there, but we will go ahead and find out. This seems to be one of those books that you just need to read a little bit slower because there's just a lot going on. I hear that it's rather leaning towards pretentious, and I also heard that it has a lot of like footnotes in it, which we will see. I see a few footnotes in here, and some people say the footnotes aren't very necessary and are kind of like over explaining what's happening in the book. And as someone who likes to kind of figure things out on her own and interpret the story to the best of my ability, I don't really like when authors spell things out. So we will see how I feel about that aspect of the story, but I'm really excited to check out this well-beloved author, and if I enjoy her, I will check out some of her other books. Still not the Poppy War, I don't think. It's, I don't know. It's just, it sounds like it's going to be too dark and too depressing. And I have yet really to get into a grimdark fantasy. So maybe one day I do get into it. I'll try that series. But for now, we will stick with her more literary works like Yellowface. But this is going to be my challenge book. And if I happen to be able to get to it here in September, I will try. Otherwise, you will see it on my October TBR. Right, guys, so these are all the physical books on my TBR, including the 2 graphic novels of Chef's Kiss and Tokyo Ghoul, and then we also had 3 audiobooks that are going to be joining this pile. So we will see how we do. I mean, as you can see, a lot of these books are relatively short, so that makes me optimistic. I think that I was rather smart when I chose these books, and hopefully I have plenty of time to read. I might have to do like a 24-hour readathon or something this month, but I would love to know if you guys have read any of these books and what you thought of them. On top of that, are you joining the magical Orilium? If so, what career are you going after, and what are some of the books you are hoping to read this month? As always, guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel by watching my videos, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!